Paolina Bonaparte, the spark of the empire. Pauline Bonaparte, the spark of the empire. In the meantime, subscribe to the channel and leave a like on the video. Now let's start. Amid the splendor of empires and the clamor of wars, there shone a secret shrouded in beauty, seduction, and power. The heart of the empire did not always beat on the throne. Sometimes it was found in someone more discreet, but equally irresistible. Who would dare challenge one of the most feared men in history, if not the one who had the power to enchant with a simple smile? In the shadows of the empire, one figure determined the fate of the world in ways as subtle as they were devastating. At the sumptuous court of Napoleon Bonaparte, everyone knew that the man who proclaimed himself Emperor of France had a special affection for his sister Pauline. Of the 7 Bonaparte siblings, she was the one who aroused in him a mixture of affection and frustration. While Napoleon sought to expand the empire by force, Pauline conquered her territories in a very different way, in the hearts of the European elite. Pauline did not want crowns, but hearts. And this worried Napoleon more than any rival. She had no need for noble titles or vast lands. Her beauty and magnetism were her true weapons. The Parisian balls, full of scandals and furtive glances, were her stage. She was not only Napoleon's sister, she was also the greatest celebrity of her time, a woman who fascinated with her audacity, causing insomnia to her brother, the emperor who tried to keep the family under control. If there was one thing Pauline excelled at, it was attracting attention and provoking gossip. Her provocative clothes, free behavior, and numerous lovers scandalized Parisian society at the end of the 18th century. At every ball or reception, she was always the center of attention, and that was no accident. Napoleon knew that all of Europe had its eyes on her, and that put him on high alert. Pauline's charm was no secret, and many sought to approach her to gain information to use against the emperor. But Pauline knew how to play the game of seduction well. She offered the necessary attention without ever revealing anything truly important. For her, men were just pawns on a chessboard where she reigned as the true queen. Her boldest gesture, however, was artistic. Married to the Italian prince Camillo Borghese, one of the richest and most influential men of the time, Pauline decided that status was not enough. Soon after the wedding, rumors of discontent began to circulate between the couple. The prince, surrounded by diamonds and prestige, was unable to satisfy his wife, neither in desires nor in spirit. Then Pauline ordered the creation of a statue, not like Diana, as Borghese had suggested, but like Venus, the goddess of love, a nude statue that captured her essence, sculpted by Antonio Canova. The work caused a sensation throughout Europe, scandalizing the nobility and making Pauline even more famous. Borghese was ashamed and hid the statue in the attic. For Napoleon, it was the limit. While he tried to maintain the order of the empire and fight against enemies, his sister continued to challenge social conventions and the respect he held so dear. Pauline did not hide her lovers or her adventures, even when it made her brother uncomfortable. Napoleon wrote her stern letters asking for greater discretion, but Pauline, with her usual audacity, ignored the requests. Despite the tensions, the bond between the two remained strong. Pauline knew she had a unique power over Napoleon. His affection for her surpassed any scandal. As Napoleon's empire began to crumble, Pauline proved that her loyalty went far beyond luxury and scandal. After the fall of Napoleon, she sold her assets to finance her brother's return to France, and was the only sister to visit him on the island of Elba. As a sign of unwavering support, she even offered her jewels to help him regain the throne. After the final defeat at Waterloo, Pauline also attempted to follow him to St. Helena, but her efforts were in vain. Her devotion, however, was never in doubt. She was known for her many loves, including the famous violinist Niccolò Paganini. Her passions were intense and brief, involving men of all classes. But her love life had a darker side. Pauline suffered from salpingitis, an inflammation that caused her pain and increased her sexual desire. After a life marked by scandal and devotion to Napoleon, Pauline's health rapidly deteriorated. The woman who was the embodiment of beauty and seduction now suffered from salpingitis and tuberculosis, illnesses that brought her to an untimely end in 1825, at just 44 years old. She retired to Florence, where she lived her last days in an elegant villa, far from the salons of Paris and Rome. Even when ill, she never abandoned her vanity. Legend has it that on her deathbed, she wanted the room full of mirrors, wanting to be remembered for the beautiful woman she had been. Her last moments were peaceful, surrounded by family and a few trusted friends. After Napoleon's death in 1821, she was never the same. The bond with her brother was deep, and his absence marked her deeply. Yet, she remained faithful to her image of a charming and powerful woman until the end. Pauline died on June 9, 1825, of tuberculosis in Florence. She was buried in Rome, in the Borghese family tomb, along with other members of the Italian aristocracy. Her sculpture as Venus, sculpted by Canova, is still found today in the Borghese Gallery, as a reminder of a woman who, even in the shadow of Napoleon, lived with light and boldness. The story of Paulina Bonaparte reminds us that power is not exercised only with armies or crowns, but also with charm, intelligence, and audacity. In the shadow of one of the most feared men in history, Pauline managed to carve out a role all her own, capable of influencing the hearts and minds of all of Europe. She was a free woman in a world that did not allow it, scandalous to some, captivating to others, but always true to herself. And perhaps this is where her greatest power lies, having been, until her last breath, simply and extraordinarily Pauline. That's all for today. And what do you think of Paolina Bonaparte, the Princess of Pleasure? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're new, and activate the bell so you don't miss the next videos. See you next time. Bye.